Hey everybody, it's Father Edward Looney, and I want to reflect with you today about the genre of Christmas movies. Because over the next several days here in December, I would like to reflect about different Christmas movies that I've seen and kind of give a Christian take. What made my mind as a Christian perk up? What did it make me think about? But I think there's something to say about the genre of Christmas movies in general. If you're like me in these days of December, you're going to watch some Christmas classics. You might watch some of these contemporary Christmas movies turning on Hallmark or Great American Family Channel. You might watch Netflix or Hulu. And you're going to watch those Christmas movies. And the contemporary movies kind of sometimes there's nothing that makes them a Christmas movie except maybe snow on the ground or a Christmas tree or something like that. It takes place around Christmas. It doesn't tell us about the birth of Jesus or that holiday that we celebrate, so dear to us as Christians. And then also, the story plot. They're so predictable. I bet you've seen some of the satire articles or memes that say, Hallmark to discover a second storyline for Christmas movie. Because this is the typical storyline. Two people fall madly in love. Their relationship, there's something, maybe a little deception on somebody's part, but they just run with it. 3/4 of the way through the movie, that deception is figured out, and it drives the couple apart. And then, by the end of the movie, they come back together. They realize that they need each other, that they are madly in love, and they live happily ever after. That's kind of the motif of the Christmas movie. You're probably chuckling because you're like, I know that movie so well. You can think about some of the Christmas movies maybe you've already seen and how it follows that pattern. But it's really the story of the Christian life. It's the story of a God who is madly in love with us. And I think that motif is really a biblical story. Because think about it. In the very beginning, Adam and Eve, they're in the garden. God made them to be madly in love with him, and he with them makes them in his own image and likeness. But then, sin, the serpent comes. The serpent tempts them, and that drives that wedge, drives them apart. They're naked, they're ashamed, they're hiding from God. But yet God pursues them, and God enters into conversation with them. God wants to heal their relationship. It's why in the story of the Old Testament, when people had gone away from God, God often sent prophets to call them back. That when that wedge of sin drove the people apart, the prophet's voice was to bring them back to God. It's almost the story of Joseph and Mary. That Joseph and Mary betrothed to each other, and then Mary is with child. Joseph, Matthew says, wants to divorce her quietly. It's almost as if the incarnation is the wedge that separates them, but by the help of an angel, Joseph realizes he has to take Mary into his home. He's to be the foster father of the child Jesus. And that's the way that the greatest story ever told ends, with Joseph and Mary in Bethlehem and the Christ child there and the Magi coming to adore him. And so that motif, that's the story of us. That we are meant to pursue God, but our own sins have driven a wedge, but through the sacraments we have been invited back to God's love. I think that the classic storyline of a Christmas movie in the contemporary era is one that captures our own journey to God. He is calling us back to himself. And the storybook ending is really our life with God forever in the kingdom of heaven. That the God who pursues us and we who pursue God, well, he wants us to have life forever. Just as in a Christmas movie, that couple falls in love and remains in love for the rest of their life. Well, the love that we will have in this drama of our life, in this movie of our own existence, well, the ending is eternal because it's life with God forever in the kingdom of heaven.